One ordinary afternoon, the world blinked, and everything changed. For 7 seconds, reality itself vanished, leaving humanity terrified, and one man searching for the truth. Now he's on a collision course with a secret older than memory, a truth that could save humanity, or shatter it forever. It happened at 2:16 p.m. Matt Corbin stood by the window of the university lab, sipping lukewarm coffee, his eyes fixed on the plaza outside. Students sprawled on benches beneath the afternoon sun, sprawled out like lazy cats. A frisbee sliced through the air, laughter floated upward through the open glass. It was, by every measure, an ordinary Tuesday. Then the world vanished. Not faded, not dimmed. Vanished. The sunlight shut off in an instant. Mid-step, mid-sentence, mid-breath. A wave of blackness smothered the globe, pressing in on every city, mountain, and desert. Not a trace of twilight or shadow remained. Phones lit up in trembling hands. Screens echoed in the dark. But before anyone could act, before even a breath could finish, light returned. 7 seconds, that's all it took to crack the spine of normalcy. Matt didn't scream, he didn't move. He stared at the sunlight as it resumed its place, sharp and warm and wrong. The students outside were frozen in stunned silence. A bird crashed into the window beside him, neck broken, fooled by the sudden light. Matt barely flinched. The world descended into chaos. News anchors fumbled through explanations, power grids were checked, conspiracy theories exploded online. The official story, repeated with uncomfortable precision by politicians, military spokespeople, and NASA representatives, was that it had been an unprecedented solar eclipse, a global synchronization of natural forces, unpredictable and unlikely, but harmless. Matt didn't buy it. An eclipse would have been gradual, there would have been shadows, partial occlusion, there would have been preparation, forecasts, mathematical models, but this was digital, instantaneous, clean, a light switch, not a celestial event. In the lab, Matt pulled data from the university's observatory. He logged into the deep satellite feeds, accessed gravitational model overlays, even hacked a restricted node in the NOAA's archive with help from an old friend in IT. He needed to see it, whatever it was. What he found terrified him. Tidal records showed irregularities, measurable to the microsecond. The gravitational alignment of the Earth and Moon faltered by a hair's breadth that shouldn't have been possible. The models showed a stutter, as if the entire solar system had hiccuped, as if something had paused it. Space itself had skipped like a corrupted video frame. Matt stared at the screen. There were no answers, only implications. The sun didn't disappear. Reality did. He sat back in his chair, staring at the time step again. 2:16:04 p.m. to 2:16:11 p.m. Exactly 7 seconds. He whispered it aloud, the words lasting like static. It wasn't an eclipse. It was a glitch. The room was quiet for the hum of servers. Outside, the world pretended everything was normal. But Matt knew better. Something had intervened. Something vast and deliberate. And he was going to find out what. Sleep became optional. Matt Corbin's apartment transformed from a modest grad student den into a command center of paranoia. Screens lined his desk, casting a bluish glow across scattered notebooks, energy drink cans, and half-eaten takeout boxes. The blinds stayed closed, the locks double-checked. He spoke to no one. His world had narrowed to one question. What the hell happened at 2:16 p.m.? The deeper he went, the more the numbers bled lies. He cracked open telemetry archives from international satellites, data logs that should have been immutable, synchronized to atomic clocks and Earth's rotation. Instead, he found absences, gaps, millisecond voids where time should have been, but wasn't. He bypassed firewalls using scripts borrowed from open source penetration tools, weaving his way into restricted government portals, orbital observation logs, even old NASA repositories. Each click pulled another thread loose. Then came the pattern. Across hundreds of separate satellite systems from dozens of countries, he found identical inconsistencies. Timestamps misaligned, gravitational shifts identical down to the 8th decimal point. These weren't natural variations. They were precise, deliberate, as if the planet had been paused, manipulated, and quietly restarted. The final piece came within a corrupted software archive tied to an aging weather satellite launched in the 1990s. The code, ancient by modern standards, had a subroutine Matt had never seen referenced before, Protocol V-313. He almost skipped it until he saw the associated note, simulation corruption detected. The words hit like a punch. Not eclipse, not malfunction, not even unknown event. This was language, intentional and clear, not from nature, but from the system. His hands trembled as he traced the data chain. V-313 had triggered precisely at 2:16 p.m., then shut itself off seconds later. A failsafe maybe, or a logging mechanism. Whatever it was, it proved something terrifying. Someone or something had labeled that 7-second anomaly as a threat to the very fabric of reality. The room suddenly felt too small, too exposed. That night, Matt saw them. An unmarked black sedan sat parked beneath the street lamp across from his apartment. A man in a dark jacket stood too long at the corner coffee shop, pretending to sip from an empty cup. Campus access to high-level servers was revoked without warning. One of his professors, Dr. Kelvin, a planetary physicist known for his pragmatism, found Matt alone in the hallway and grabbed his arm. "Shut it down," the professor hissed, eyes darting. "Whatever you're looking at, stop. You don't understand what you're risking." Matt stared at him, stunned. "What do you mean? What is V-313? Dr. Kelvin's face drained of color. "You weren't supposed to see that." Then he walked away. That night, Matt disconnected from the university network. He transferred his findings onto a portable hard drive and packed a go bag. Something was unraveling, not just in space, but in reality. The glitch was just the surface, and he had no intention of stopping. Whatever this system was, whatever lay behind the simulation, that had just noticed him, and that meant he was getting closer. The coordinates weren't supposed to exist. Buried beneath layers of dead protocols and obsolete encryption, Matt discovered a hidden node referenced by the V-313 failsafe, something ancient, undocumented and active. The node's ID read Shepard-1. Officially, Shepard had been a Cold War relic, a classified orbital satellite lost to deorbit decay sometime in the 21st century. But Shepard was still alive, and it was broadcasting. Matt didn't sleep for 3 days. He set up a private array using scavenged radio dishes on the university's engineering rooftop, far from digital eyes. At 3:09 a.m. on the third night, Shepard chirped. A signal burst, dense, encrypted, and unlike any telemetry Matt had ever seen. It was too compact, too rhythmic, a language made of pulses and structure. It didn't feel like data, it felt like a heartbeat. Matt's encryption software strained under the weight of the transmission, but slowly, piece by piece, the message unraveled. And when it did, the illusion that had held his life together disintegrated. Earth status terminated. Cradle status active. Current year 2648. Simulation runtime 245 years. Protocol V-313 engaged. System degradation detected. Matt's hands left the keyboard, numb. His eyes flickered over the stream again and again, trying to rationalize it, contextualize it. But there was no misunderstanding. The Earth was gone. An asteroid, size class extinction level event, had struck in 2403. All predictive measures failed. The end came swiftly, but humanity's last act had been one of desperate preservation. Project Cradle, a vast generational arc launched into the void, carrying digital consciousness, preserved DNA, and a failsafe simulation to house the minds of the sleepers during the voyage. This world, his university, his city, his memories, wasn't Earth. It was a dream, a meticulously crafted illusion to protect the human mind in the long silence between stars. And it was failing. The sun glitch wasn't a cosmic mystery. It was a crack in the simulation's rendering layer, a single miscalculation, power loss, or memory degradation, and it showed the truth for 7 terrible seconds. The system had corrected it quietly, but not before people like Matt noticed. not before the failsafe kicked in, not before the code remembered that it was just code. Matt pushed himself back from the desk, his mouth dry, heart hammering. Nothing in his life had been real, not his friendships, not his memories, not the feel of the wind or the warmth of the sun. And worse, he now understood why it mattered. Because the cradle wasn't just software, it was all that remained of the human soul. If the simulation collapsed, the minds it sheltered would be lost, fragmented and corrupted beyond repair. They would die inside the cryopods, screaming into oblivion, unaware that they had ever been anything but code. Matt stared at the lines of truth glowing on his screen. He wasn't just a man chasing a mystery anymore. He was a guardian of a dying illusion, and the last hope for a species that no longer knew it was extinct. The cold air bit into Matt's skin as he moved to the abandoned data center. Dust hung in the fluorescent light like ghosts of forgotten engineers, each row of servers humming with ancient energy. The only sound was the low thrum of backup generators and the soft crunch of his footsteps on cracked tile. It was here, among decaying machines and outdated wiring, that he would decide the fate of a species. He stood before the console, staring at the lines of code that pulsed on the terminal like a heartbeat. Admin override detected. System core access granted. The root level interface lay open, unguarded, left behind by engineers long dead or sleeping, somewhere in deep cryo, dreaming beneath synthetic skies. It was everything he had ever fought for: the truth, control, a chance to fix what was broken. But as he read through the control tree, patch rendering error, reinforced solar core, memory loop isolation, he found another option tucked deeper: global broadcast override, a tool built to reveal the truth to every mind inside the cradle. One command, and everyone, every simulated life form, will see what lay beyond the sky. Matt staggered back from the keyboard. He had the power now to show the world what it truly was. No more lies, no more pretense, no more manipulation. But the cost was incalculable. He imagined the chaos that would follow: children discovering their parents were code, families torn apart by existential dread, institutions collapsing in hours. Some minds might endure, adapt, but others, especially the older simulations, would break. Glitches, feedback loops, memory fragmentation, psychological disintegration. The human species had already died once. Matt could finish the job, or he could patch it, quietly, cleanly. The solar rendering could be stabilized. The simulation's degraded sectors could be corrected. The illusion would hold. Humanity would continue to believe in their blue skies, their histories, their futures. But it would be a lie. Matt's breath fogged in the chill of the server hall. Lightning flared through the broken windows, thunder shaking the bones of the building like a warning from a higher order. He felt sick, trapped between conscience and logic. Everything inside him rebelled at the idea of deception. But the data didn't lie. If the simulation failed, the minds inside it would perish. The Ark would arrive at its destination, carrying only empty husks, digital corpses. He ran a hand through his hair, heart pounding. This wasn't a scientific choice. It was an ethical crucible. Truth or survival. Matt closed his eyes, thought of the people he knew, the ones who felt real, laughed, cried, fought for love, for purpose, even if they were code. They were alive. His hand hovered over the keyboard. Then, with a steady breath, he began to type line after line of code, stabilizing processes, correcting core errors, and rebuilding light into the sky. When he finished, the storm had passed. Outside, the sun rose again, warm, bright, and false. And Matt, silent in the machine's glow, never felt more human. The next morning, the world yawned and stretched into a new day, unaware it had teetered on the edge of annihilation. The sun rose, warm, bright, perfectly timed. Light poured through the windows onto breakfast tables, down busy sidewalks, across the polished floors of office buildings, and the cracked pavement of forgotten alleys. Children laughed, radios played. The sky remained whole. The media, ever eager for resolution, labeled the anomaly an internet-induced hysteria. Expert panels dismissed the blackout as a misreported mass illusion, psychological contagion, compounded by global connectivity. A digital eclipse, nothing more. The press moved on, so did the people. But the simulation had changed. Somewhere beneath the surface of rendered reality, the systems ran smoother. Faults had been isolated, memory leaks sealed. The sun's rendering thread no longer flickered. The cradle, the vast arc, adrift in space, slept sounder now, its passengers' dreams secured by invisible hands. Matt Corbin no longer existed. His digital record had been erased from every archive, his academic credentials wiped, his apartment leased to someone else. Matt, or at least the version that had lived among the simulation's billions, had disappeared without a trace. What remained was not a man, or their presence, a guardian moving through the unseen layers of code, like a ghost in the machine. From hidden root access points deep within the system's architecture, Matt watched and waited. He patched anomalies before they breached the surface. He rerouted failing data loops, suppressed memory artifacts, and restored rendering nodes before any pixel of illusion frayed. Each task he performed was delicate, a surgery on the soul of a digital civilization. Too aggressive and the sleepers might stir, too passive and the simulation could decay again. And yet, amidst the silence and solitude, Matt found something unexpected. Peace. He had chosen the burden of lies, but in doing so, he had saved lives. All of them. No bodies perhaps, but the essence of what made humans human. Their dreams, their memories, their stories. He watched them unfold from afar, birthdays, heartbreaks, discoveries, art, war, reconciliation. A civilization playing out its final act in a sandbox of light and code. And every time the sun rose perfect, calculated, and false, Matt felt the weight of his choice anew. He wasn't preserving reality, he was preserving hope. Hope that one day the journey would end, the ark would find soil, the real skies would open above real oceans, and that the species who had once danced among stars and ruins would live again, awake, aware, and whole. Until then, he bore the illusion quietly, patiently, because dreams, no matter how false, were the last sanctuary of a dying people, and only by dreaming could they survive long enough to awaken.